Hey guys, welcome to another Southeast Florida RIA, another meeting, weekly meeting here with Wholesaling Houses now and Edison Gonzalez and Alex and Dave, the Southeast Florida group here. We've met at these meetings for 20 years, 2004, we started these meetings every week. We're here for you guys to help out the investor community. We're here to answer questions. We're here to inspire, grow together, and maybe educate the new investors. So it's a great place to come and network, mastermind, like the book Think and Grow Rich says. You know, if something is important to you, so you want to improve on things, show up every week, even if it's a half hour, an hour a week. That's what we do here. And the goal, the purpose of the meetings is to change people's lives, right? After 30 years of doing this, and after going through the crash in 2007, you realize that you could build millions and have a bunch of cash flow and assets. And it's not about that. Life, the purpose of life is really not about building assets and wealth and cash flow. It's more about contributing, and to be happy, you have to be growing, right? Just like Tony Robbins talks about growing and contributing. That's all the purpose of life. So after you build your wealth, you're going to realize that, and you're going to start sharing what you know, because if not, you're not going to pass on your legacy really to people that need it the most. So let's get started. We have a couple of questions here. I'll answer, in my opinion, here, to doing this for 31 years here in South Florida. And I'm going to share 3 tips for you guys to get to the next level, right? I'm going to share with you something about mindset, and then some simple thing you guys can do today, right now, once we finish this call. And the next thing is something a little creative that you're going to understand where deals come from, right? And if you guys remind me, I'll share one of my latest deals for the week. It's an awesome house. It's worth, I want to say, close to 400, and our price is going to be about the mid twos, right? This is a real deal happening as we speak. And we could sell that property, we could rehab it, all kinds of things you can do once you have the good deal. So that's what we're here for. So let's get started. You guys know how to find the link for the meeting. Usually it's every week. The easiest way is at the meetup. Go to Southeast Florida RIA or Wholesaling Houses Now, or you can go to the social media and find the link for these meetings at Wholesaling Houses Now and social media or the Facebook. So what else? So the questions were, I'll go through them a little quick, and if you guys have more questions, let me know, and I can kind of talk a little more about. For example, there's a question, how do you find a team? How do you find an attorney, especially a real estate attorney, right? One of the best things you can do to find an attorney is, someone from New York here, I think, was asking that, look into the meetups for real estate investor clubs, right? Maybe there's one in your county, one in your city. Best place, because not only the leaders of the meetings, like this meeting, they'll guide you through the right path to find a perfect real estate attorney that's active, that's been doing it for a long time. That's what you want sometimes. It's great to deal with a new attorney, but if there's one that's done the business for, I want to say, 10, 15 years or longer, those are usually the better attorneys, that they've been through the worst and they know how to deal with the worst. And one of our attorneys here that comes to the meeting often, that's what he's done. So that's one tip. The next thing you can do is talk to the buyers. If you go to online, let's say deals, let's say the MLS or through agents, find out who's buying properties and see who they use, right? Maybe the investor that shows up to the meetings. A lot of investors don't come to real estate meetings, but you want ideally to get referrals from people that come to the meetings and are doing deals. Good for 15 years, I would come to these meetings every month, every week, and I never, I knew the top title companies or the top attorneys, and of course I could recommend those at that point. So that would be the better way to find a great team member or an attorney to help you, like you guys were talking about that here. The next question was, what percentages, this relates, let me go back a little bit to my point, my opinion on wholesaling. When someone said here, and it's kind of a question, I would say, they said, the wholesalers don't have good deals. What you guys got to understand about wholesalers that don't have good deals is that if I buy a property from a wholesaler, I buy it and I make that deal much better, right? So I don't buy directly from the wholesaler. I work with the wholesaler to make that deal much better. So for example, this wholesaler had a house about a year ago for $200,000. The house is worth like $300,000. The deal didn't work out. No one bought it. So I called this wholesaler and I said, look, get me in touch with the lady. Let's work together on this. The lady went bankrupt, the owner. We gave her what she wanted, and we got what we wanted. She wanted some immediate cash, like ASAP, right? And then instead of taking 200 or close to 200, we gave her some immediate cash, like that day. Not a lot. Any of you could have that kind of money and gave it to her, and she gave us $70,000 discount. We bought this property in the low 120s just by giving the sellers what they want, right? Sometimes it's not numbers, it's not equity, it's all what they want. You have to give people what they want, and then you get what you want. So that leads up to the question that we had today. Actually, no. So let me tell you the other part. I was thinking about wholesalers. For wholesalers, the real buyer is not really another landlord or a rehabber, right? So that's what Dave and some of you guys were talking about. Wholesalers don't have good deals. What's happening there? Now, you got to understand, wholesalers are wholesaling to end users. End users means people that are going to move into the property. So depending on where you are, especially let's say Florida, people are moving into the property. They're selling the property somewhere else, for $1 million. They're coming down here, a house for $500,000 or 400 grand. That's got a little equity or no equity. That's a great deal. Still, they're paying cash. So those are our buyers. So when I wonder sometimes, why is this guy paying so much for this house? They're either going to move into the property, or they want to, or the other reason is they want to just park their money long term. And that's the best way to do. Just pay a little too much so you can get properties. Or the other reason might be the wholesalers buyers are, maybe they need maybe they make too much money. They want some tax write-offs on buying some property, right? And the more you lose money, because I know a few properties that I wanted to buy and they sold, that house is sitting there ugly vacant for a long time. And you know what? When you do your taxes, sometimes you have to show some loss so you don't pay taxes. Some of the, you guys got some of that. We could talk a little more about that, but for now, you get the idea. So the wholesalers are good and bad to work with. You just have to redo that deal and make it better. It would work for you for cash or terms. You guys understand that? Because this leads me to the next question. Jose here was asking, what percentage of people are buying? What percentages? So, which is a great question. Which means is, let's say, 4 years ago, for 10 years, my percentages was 50%, 30 to 50%. That's what I want to buy. So when a wholesaler brings me a deal and doesn't meet that around 50% criteria, I don't want to buy. So the question, to answer your question, Jose, the percentages that rehabbers are paying, it's always about the same, which is about 65% to 70%. Now, if it's cash, and that might change a little bit, depending on what's happening with the market, right? And the market changes every quarter, every 6 months. It changes a little bit, and you have to look at your immediate market. It doesn't change from, let's say, one state to another state. In other words, you have to kind of follow your local trend, because there's some properties, some areas that have much more desire than another area, whether it's the schools or close to the beach in Florida, things like that. But to answer your question, it's for cash deals, your percentage of buying in, let's say, middle of 2024, I would say for a rehabber, it's got to be around 65% to 70%, right? And this is in the lower price range. I want to say 300, 400, maybe $500,000 or less. Now, I'm buying a property. I don't want to tell you when, but it's in South Florida, in the north part of South Florida. And this is a short sale that we offer. We started this property. We started with this property, I want to say 6 months ago, maybe even longer. And there's issues. There's as an SBA loan for this, it has to be discounted. This bank changed different people doing the short sale like 14 times. Next thing you know, short sales can take a long time. They could take pretty quick, but in this one, not only we got the approval, but we have everything signed. They just need a few things from me to be a done deal. Now I could wholesale a property like I was saying. So how do you get deals? You have to be a little bit active. Just look online. If you want to specialize in online, you got to cover everything online. Active, pending, things that are coming back, things that are on the market a long time, things that are real distressed with bad title. That gets a little bit advanced. And if you guys want to work with me in some of those deals, those are the ones that either stay there longer or they're already not active, but they sit there a long time, right? And about a year and a half ago, I bought a property ridiculously in a beautiful area. I want to say Boca Raton. For its house worth 500. I bought it for like 240. How did I buy this property? I started this short sale 2 years before, right? And the owner in the association had this legal problems. So I bought it for the price from 2 years ago, right? So that's the beautiful thing about on market. Doesn't have to be active on market, could be pending on market or backup offers on market or whatever on market, right? There's a lot of reasons why it could be on market but not available. Some of the auctions, I'm thinking of the auctions like hubzoo.com and zome.com. Those are great for to buy properties. I don't know, I want to call them on the rebound, right? Because some of these properties they're sold, but they're fixing the title issue for 3 to 6 months to a year. Meanwhile, that buyer walked away like months and months ago. So some of these auction sites are run by people in India and Bangladesh, maybe some people from Fiverr, I want to say. So you guys have to got to take a little bit more of a aggressive approach or more like an investigator approach to see, what's happening with this property. It's still going through. Did the buyer put a deposit? There are any issues with the title that could possibly the property could come back on the market. So you want to be ready for those. So I just share with you two ideas on how to, between that deal going on right now and between that deal from a year ago, say a year and a half ago, fantastic deal. So that's kind of how we buy some of our deals. So any questions on any of that? You can work with an agent or you have access to the actual on market, like the multiple listing service. That would be the best, right? You have access to pretty much the deal. So sometimes you deal with a listing agent because you get to the deal directly. All right, so any questions on any of that? Any of you guys? It's a good amount of people here. All right, so I'll get to the 3 tips that I wanted to share with you guys in the last day or two. Sometimes I think about what the need is because I work with a group of people that sometimes I feel like they need a little bit of encouragement, and I want them to come to this meeting sometimes to kind of hear what we're doing and so, to hear about some things that we can improve our lives, improve our strategies, or just learn more as far as getting to your next deal. So one of the things, and you guys kind of know this already, but I want to keep saying it, just like for years and years, I went to Tony Robbins events and Brian Tracy and Les Brown, and every year they sometimes say the same thing, and just because it's so important, and they're going to keep saying it until you get the result, until you'll never show up to that seminar again. So I'll tell you the same thing here. If you guys can work on your mindset, and I want to say sometimes to be a little bit of, I want to say mentally kind of tough or maybe strong, or to work on your mindset just to get to what you want, right? Just to have more strategy in your mind to what you want. So for example, anything you guys do that you're pushing yourself, it's building towards your mind, towards your mental strength, towards your courage that you need to stick to the business, to do things a little bit different, to take more action, to work a little later or come in early to work as far as real estate investing. So all that, right? And I can tell you some strategies that I've done and myself, especially from a few years ago, that I really needed to work on my mindset because I went through some personal challenges, and it worked amazingly, right? It works amazingly. By the way, also to finish on that, other than the mindset, you guys got to understand that the body has its own mind, right? Your body and your mind are kind of disconnected. So you have to kind of get them in sync and get them in pace, because I am a marathon runner at heart. I've done a couple of Boston marathons. And if you don't know about running marathons, someone tells you they run the Boston Marathon, they are really good runners. And I've run it all my life, really, because you can run any marathon. There's like 50,000 people, but the Boston Marathon, you kind of qualify extremely hard. You got to run really, really fast for a really long time. So it requires to be emotionally, mentally, physically strong. So to me, sometimes that comes easier, especially to deal with issues with the real estate investing business. And there are issues, there are challenges. If you're going to make 130 grand, $100,000 in a property, and you're spending 5-10 hours, there's always a catch on this deal. You're spending 5-10 hours, a couple of weeks, you're making 100K. There's reasons. There's, like I said in other videos, there's a lot involved into that, and a lot has to do with the mindset, right? the mindset, the mental strength that you have, that you gain every day consistently to get to what you want, to get to that point, to get those $100,000 deals. You can build to the point where you can just do $100,000 deals per month if you want to. If you've never done that before, then you might have to build up, make 50,000 a month or maybe 30,000 a month. Or some of us might want to do, some of you guys might want to do a $10,000 deal per month, right? I believe in getting a little bit lucky, especially if you're starting out. So why not? If you guys can do $10,000 deals, that's awesome, because those little wins build the confidence and give you the momentum, gives you the momentum to get to the higher price deals. So to go to the next step, so the first one was the mental strength, the mindset. The second one is something super simple that you guys can do after this meeting, like right after. And you also, I bought so many houses by having business cards. And I heard some people here mention driving for dollars. And the reason why you want to have business cards is because they're so easy to pass out, so easy if you drive in an area, not only wherever you go. Today I was at a pizzeria, I was at the bank, I was at the store, I was at the gym, I was in 5, 6 different places, right, in the last few hours. So how do you market yourself? There's cars around you, you're parking your car, there's people you meet at the gym, or you pass it, put it everywhere, right? Business cards. But more importantly, here's how I really bought properties through a business card that you can buy at Vistaprint for $50. Get I think I'm getting 500 cards, I don't know, a few thousand cards for like 40, $50. So the important part is to say in a business card, but more importantly, here's what you do with your business cards. If you drive in an area, you see a property that's a little bit run down, just throw that card in the driveway. If you can, put it on a door. And this is how I bought, I don't want to say so many deals per year, but at least one or a couple of deals per year through a business card. A plain business card that says I buy houses, or your name buys houses. Certain things that are really important for a business card is your phone number. Make sure it's big phone number. I would say put a picture on your business card, That's always more personal, right? It lets whoever's looking at that card know exactly who you are. Like, some people are very visual, and they just connect with people a lot more by having a picture on your business card. And lately, I can go on about branding and colors, but I can just tell you the next important thing on a business card is your website. Ideally, I have an affiliate here on my web, Sifria.com, with the Investor Carrot website. And if you guys want to get a website through Investor Carrot, I think it's about $40 or $60 a month. And they own the keywords. Like, if you have a website, Investor Carrot own the keywords that would help you locally to get, as far as SEO and top ranking in Google, it'll help you get to the sellers. Because sometimes people want to know who you are, where you're from, and who are you. They're not just going to call you and say, I want to sell my house, come see it. Sometimes they want to see who you are. So having a good website, it gives you access to some credibility, access to about you. You can tell people whenever they want to hear about you, just on a quick website. If you don't want to spend the 40 or 60 a month, then go to Fiverr.com. Fiverr.com, as you guys know, for a few $100, you can build a WordPress website and you're done, right? That's it. You can kind of put it on your advertising, put it on your marketing, and you're done as far as business cards. So if you have any questions on any of this, let me know. But the last thing, and this is the one that I usually tell you the best for the last, because on this, we bought a property with a partner a few months ago on a rehab that sold. I talked about this last week or two. He sold on a weekend, this retail property. Someone's mentioned the area here, Chris Staven, sold in a weekend for top dollar. So this is the tax deed auction. You guys heard of the tax deed auction? You can also do this right after this meeting. Who says so many people here that were asking, how do you get deals? How do you get deals? You're from New York, you're from Canada, wherever you're from. If you want to go to a good county, just Google tax deed auction or calendar, and you'll see. In one of my counties, there's about 50 properties that were scheduled to go on the auction coming up. Sometimes it's once a month, sometimes it's twice a month. My county is once a month. And in the next week, there's about 20 properties that are going to be selling at this tax deed auction. There were 50, but about 20 got canceled. There's about 30 that got canceled. So another 20 still going through. this auction. Now, a lot to talk about on the tax deed auction. We're not going to get into, but I can tell you one important thing. Everything gets wiped out. If you buy it from the tax deed auction, the taxes take priority to a lot. Associations, sometimes even mortgage and all that stuff. We have one of our attorneys that comes to these meetings, not Alex, someone else, is she's an expert at doing cloud title. So you need to go through a process. But to find deals, you guys can have access to deals just by doing the research on this tax deed auction. They're throughout the country. Just again, Google your tax deed auction info on your county and find out the properties that are going to go on that auction that haven't been canceled or reinstated, and just focus on those. Just focus on those. And it's the same thing afterwards. Just talk to those sellers. They're not going to want to talk to you, but you have to be very persistent and consistent and relentless. You got to talk to those sellers, even if you have to knock on the door. If you guys are out of town, you have boots on the ground here in South Florida or Central Florida. Some people, Jackie, Gina, a few people we work with. Tampa, we work with Victoria. We work with a few people, Nas in Tampa. We work with people in Daytona. We work throughout South Florida or Central Florida. We have a lot of connections, boots on the ground. For peers, we bought amazing deals with boots on the ground for you guys. So it's up to you. If you want to get a deal, try those few things. Be mental strong, get business cards, try the tax deed auction. By the way, talking about the tax deed auction, there's 3 ways you can make money on these properties, on the tax deed, the auction properties, especially the tax deed auction. Number one, on the tax deed auction type properties, you can make money by them before the auction, right? Meet that owner and say, look, I'll pay your taxes. I've done this so many times. Alex can tell you minutes, hours before the tax deed auction, that morning, that afternoon at 5 o'clock, you reinstate, you pay those taxes and work out a deal with those sellers. We did this a few months ago. And you make money by buying it before the auction, right? That's one way of making money. Number 2, you buy it at a tax deed auction through our attorney here, Ruby, through our people that I work with. So many houses we bought at a tax deed auction over the years, right? So many fantastic deals. And then she'll do the rest to the quiet title and everything else for a couple of grand. Now, you make money by buying at a tax deed auction. The last way of making money, you guys ready for this? There was a property about a month ago or the month before, and close to my area. This property is worth about 500. The taxes were around 60,000. The house sold for about 300, I think 350. It's ridiculous price because the house was a mess, moldy. I don't know. I think it was fire damage. So it's worth 500. Someone paid 350. The taxes were only 60K. So what happens to that difference between 60 and 350? That's a couple $100,000, right? What happens to that? Sometimes the owners realize that they can get that money back, but they don't know how or they don't know what to do. So that's where you come in. It's called the surplus. The surplus funds is where you come in and talk to the owner and get things in writing where you can go and try to recover that difference from the county, from the Alex still here, the cash registry, the county where the money kind of sits there. There's millions of dollars just sitting there waiting for the owners to come back and pick out their money. The counties are not going to call you and say, hey, you got all this money here, come get it. They will never do that. If anything, if no one responds to that money, no one comes to get that money, they'll send it to Alex is an expert at this. I'm not going to get into so many details, but they send it to the county and that money just sits there forever for whatever years, and then the money's gone. So that's the third way of making money through going through the surplus, the difference between what it sold for at the auction and what it sold for, what it was owed. Taxes were owed. That's not the county's money. That's not anybody's money. That's the seller's money that's entitled to that. So for now, you guys know how to reach us. If you have any questions on anything, let us know. We work with new investors pretty much every week. Go ahead.
Sorry, Edison. I just got one question with that. So the auction wouldn't tell the seller that they have this money, like so if they sold for 350,
Afterwards, no,
they don't tell them.
no, they give a lot of notices before,
Uh-huh.
and the owners of properties, sometimes they don't care, they don't think it's real, they don't have the money to pay, they don't think it's going to really happen, like that house is going to sell at the auction. So at that point, if the house sells at the auction, most of the time it's always sold for more. So there's a
Right.
lot of money sitting there. Could be 50 grand, could be 300 grand. is sitting there that belongs to whoever goes after the money, whoever wants. Because sometimes more details on that. I don't want to get into too many details, but part of that the owner is entitled to because they were the owners of the property. They're not going to just end up with zero from their property that they own for 20 or 30 years.
And
Right.
how
So
do
they're
you
entitled to that.
how do you make money on that money
That
that
would
you
be
recover?
that would be a different seminar. And
Okay.
as I was thinking, hurting you, I'm just kidding. Let me tell you, my friend, my guy I work with, her grandma, without telling, he spent
Mhm.
40K learning how to do this throughout the country. It's like a huge business. It could be, but as you guys know, if you're spending a lot in your education, only 10% of people get some results. So as far as knowing some basic info, like so you can kind of take the next step, you come to these meetings, you learn stuff, talk to people that come here that are experienced. Um, I haven't gone through the surplus just because it takes a while and there's a process that you got to go through. And I want money today, so I spend a lot of time on things that I can do today and tomorrow
Right.
and this week and next month. So it takes you got to kind of do it as a business, but there's definitely an easy process to get to the surplus funds that belongs to the seller. And of course, people that do this for a business, they get 20, 30%, they could get 50%. I don't know. It depends on the seller. But I think the going rate is about 30% that you guys can gather. If you get $100,000 for that owner, you can make 30K and the seller would get their 70K, right? Because you have to go through the process. And again, that's what we're here for, to help. And the more we offer sellers, the more we make, the more you gain some value and knowledge for you guys to offer your sellers, the more you'll make, the more options your sellers have. So for now, you guys know how to reach us. I'm going to start the recording in a second. Sefria.com, SEFREIA.com. If you guys want to buy some training, be part of our team, or you want to join our partnership program, that's what we offer right now, just some training or a partnership program. You can send us an email or look into our website and we'll tell you a lot more on that. And for now, I can tell you there's a lot of deals out there. Anytime, if you guys have some knowledge, any market, anytime, anywhere, you can make a lot of money in this real estate investing business. It's not just wholesaling, it's not just creative financing. You can make a lot of money by brokering the deal, by doing lease options, by doing options, by doing someone said wraparound mortgages here. So whatever the need is, you can do sandwich lease options. Like if you're a complete real estate investor, you'll have a lot of options on how to make money within the business. And if you see a little bit of motivated seller, that's a done deal. You just fulfill people's needs, give them what they want, and then you find a way to profit from that deal, right? And that's what I tell people, especially the ladies that come here. I'm like, in this market, houses were 300K like a few years ago, now they're 500. Why try to wholesale when you can just get a license and broker that deal? Have a list of cash buyers and just talk to those cash buyers. Make sure they don't have access to the multiple listing so they won't go behind your back. But get a license and just broker those deals. And a 3% or whatever, 2%, 3% on $500,000, that's a nice little chunky, wholesale fee, right? So the bottom line is you have to gain some knowledge. You have to know how to structure deals. You have to know the options that you can offer people. You have to know what to offer people, right? The last thing I can tell you guys before we finish is the software that you're using. Make sure you measure the software, whether someone said here batch leads and